Good evening, everybody. We fixing to call this thing to order. I want to welcome everybody to the April 7th, 2025 Madison County District School Board meeting. At this time, we will have our prayer.
Good evening, everybody. I would like to welcome Lily Hanners. Lily is a 7th grade honor student at Madison Academy, where she excels academically and stays actively enrolled in her school life. She is the proud member of Beta Club, FFA, and her school's volleyball team. Outside the classroom, Lily is passionate about her faith and enjoys leading worship as a part of the praise team at the Rock Student Ministries at First Baptist Church. She also lends a helping hand in her family's business, Miss Leslie's Cakes. Recently, Lily had the opportunity to serve on a mission trip and enjoyed herself in serving in Idaho, deepening her heart for her ministry in her service. Lily, we thank you for coming and being with us this evening and doing our prayer. If everybody would please stand.
And
Let us pray. Lord, I thank you for letting us gather here safely today. I pray that you would guide the superintendent and school board members to make wise decisions that would glorify you and benefit the student body. I pray that you would keep our schools safe and that you would be with all of the people who work to try to make our community better. Thank you for your love, grace, and mercy toward us. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
thank you. Let's have a pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Lily.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go down to the agenda. We have one amendment to the agenda. It is the joint use agreement with Boys to Kings. We're going to move that to 4.7 of the consent agenda items. Okay. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt the agenda. I second.
I have a motion by Ms. Knight and a second by Ms. Thompson to adopt the agenda. Do I have anybody got anything to say?
I'm concerned about a couple of the items on the agenda. I'm concerned about under items for individual consideration, 5.5 staffing table
Okay.
and 5.6 job descriptions. And the reason why I'm concerned is because all last week I looked for this information. I asked Ms. Richardson for it. I didn't get it, evidently it was put on last night. So on that note, and I'm the type, I cannot make decisions willy-nilly without going over it very in detail, comparing this year's, next year's. Too much money involved, and it's just no dollars and cents are mentioned here. I'm very concerned. That's just my
Okay.
2 cents.
Okay. We all met with the superintendent and went over this.
Yes,
You
we
met
did.
with her too, didn't you?
Yes, I
Okay, and
did.
that was early last week, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I have a motion and a second. All approve the, all in favor of the adoption of the agenda? We got it.
Is
Did you voted for
I
it?
requested it to be taken off the agenda.
Oh, you wanted it to be taken off?
Well, for.
Okay, well, okay, what I need to do, vote to see if we get it.
No. You've had a motion and a second, you have a vote, I think the vote was 5-0 to approve the agenda.
Right.
Certainly, Ms. Gibson's free to make whatever motion she would like to make.
Okay, well, I would like to make a motion. I would like to move to remove 5.5 and 5.6 from the agenda.
So what you did was you had a 5-0 motion to adopt the agenda.
Aye.
I think what Ms. Gibson's doing is a motion to reconsider and remove those two items from the agenda.
Okay. Have
So
a
you-
motion from Ms. Gibson to remove 5.5 and 5.6 from the agenda. Do we have a second? We have no second. So
The motion dies for lack of a second.
motion dies for lack of a second.
Just make a note that I did say that. I want that on the record, please.
Okay. All right, we're gonna go to, now we go to the public comment, 3.1. You have public comment. You have 3 minutes to speak. We have one person signed up. Anybody else want to speak that hadn't signed up? All right. Have one person, Eddie Ritchie.
Good evening, y'all.
Good evening.
I'm just going to get right to it. Dear Melinda S. Ritchie, due to school consolidation and restructuring, please be advised your contract with the Madison County School District will not be renewed for 25-26. Your current contract with the district ends June 30th, 25. Thank you for your service and leadership in Madison County School District. Sincerely, Dr. Karen Pickles. Dr. Pickles, I'm not here to discuss what was done, but how it was done. 18 years of selfless service to a district with 3 heartless sentences in a letter in which you didn't even deliver yourself. Instead, your secretary call Melinda over, hand her the letter with no explanation. It's been 1 week and still none. The last 6 years, she has been coordinator of ESE, mental health, and student services, but wore many more hats that don't have a title. She selflessly worked a director's job with coordinator pay. While she not only did an amazing job ensuring ESE students' needs were met and rights were protected, she also willingly stepped outside of her department to assist anyone who needed it. She always looked out for others before herself. She did this not because it was required, but because it's the right thing to do. An example that this administration can most definitely look up to. You allowed intrusive thoughts to take hold and rumors to fester. She's left with more questions than answers, and the most pressing one is why. She has had dozens of messages and calls from colleagues all over the district and state. The consensus has been kind of like, what the blank? Why? We don't have an answer. And at this point, we don't need one because she won't work for somebody who has made it abundantly clear that she isn't wanted here in any department. If she was, this conversation would have been had before the letter was delivered. The lack of integrity and respect in this situation is nauseating. But Melinda's going to be fine. She has been asked about several places for work. She has been begged to fight for this position because of her colleagues recognizing her value. Unfortunately, that ship has sailed. She deserves better, and she's going to get some well-deserved time off. And then another place will get a gem. Moving forward, my prayer is that this administration learns from this obvious lack of judgment. It's hard to get quality educators to come here to work for peanuts. Now that the word is out that this administration treats some of their best, it will make it that much harder. Moving forward, there should be a policy in place, if it's not going to be acted voluntarily, where the leaders are required to have face-to-face meetings with their subordinates whose contracts are running out. I think that should be common practice. You should have clung to all of the Melindas in the district. They're the heartbeat. You don't always know it's there. I got like 10 more seconds.
Okay.
They are the heartbeat. You don't always know it's there until it stops beating. The foundation of this district needs to be built around folks like Melinda, especially during this consolidation. So I'll end with this, and trust when I say that Melinda didn't need this district. This district needed Melinda. So thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right, now we have a presentation of recognition from the Madison County Central School Beta Club. Ms. Brown.
Good evening. It is with a great honor and privilege to introduce to you the Madison County Central School Beta Club. I had a list ready. I was going to introduce everyone, but they've said, no, Ms. Brown, let us do that. So I'm going to turn it over to them. Our president is Ms. Anaya Ray, so I'm going to turn it over to Anaya. She's going to do all the introductions.
Good evening. Good evening. As Ms. Brown said, my name is Anaya Ray, and I'm president of the Madison County Central School Beta Club. I will start by introducing the members who attended the Jekyll Island Leadership Summit. Vice President Essence Livingston, Treasurer Brayson Thompson, Reporter Amaya Bruton, Carter Adams, Graceland Phillips, Onaya Isom, and myself. While attending the summit, we competed in 4 different competitions. Those competitions were Project Proposal, Lead Outside the Box, Collaboration Connection, and Leadership Representative Interview. The Leadership Representative Interview was completed by Brayson Thompson, who now serves as a Junior Beta Leadership Representative in Jekyll Island, Georgia. For Project Proposal, we were given, so our prompt was to find a solution in our community and find a problem in our community and propose a solution to fix that problem. So we found a way to provide temporary housing to people who were heavily affected by the recent hurricanes. Our second competition was Collaboration Connection. This was an on-the-spot competition that required us to use higher order thinking. Basically, 2 people were controlling the bomb, which we had to defuse in 5 minutes. And they had to describe the 4 people on the other side what they were seeing while we were giving them the prompts on what to do next. While we did not defuse the bomb in the given time limit, we did the best out of the round that we were in. And after we got finished, the man let us just go and play around with it, so that was really fun. Our last competition was Lead Outside the Box. This one was the one that we basically went into blind. We weren't given the prompt for this competition until the morning we arrived at the convention center. But basically, the prompt was, how would $2,500 and upgrades from Apple and Amazon improve technology in your community? So we made our project that night after dinner, still in dinner clothes, staying up until 11, trying to get this project ready. And we called it Granting Madison with Technology. The next morning was when we figured out whether or not we qualified for competitions to compete at nationals. And we also got back our rubrics, which had our scores on those. For Project Proposal, we scored 4 excellent and 1 good. There were 5 categories. For Collaboration Connection, we scored 5 goods. And for Lay Outside the Box, we scored 5 excellents, which was the highest score we could possibly get, and we're very proud of ourselves. Overall, this summit was a very amazing experience. We learned a lot, and we really learned what it means to work together and to be a team. We're so excited to add on to the memories that we made by attending nationals this summer. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think everyone can see the amazing things that are going on at Madison County Central School. This didn't just happen by chance. This is because of the dedication of our teachers and our staff and everyone who pours into my children every single day. And I couldn't be more proud. I want to thank Miss Memory McGriff and Miss Shanika Price. Yes, stand up. Don't shake me off. And Miss Shanika Pride, they are the sponsors who pour above and beyond into our students. There's one more thing I'd like to do tonight that the students didn't know about. We are quickly closing into the end of our school year, and I would like to announce my valedictorian and salutatorian for our 8th grade class, and they just happened to be in this group. They didn't know they were coming to do this tonight. I would like to introduce the salutatorian, Miss Amaya Bruton. And our valedictorian, Miss Anaya Ray. Runs in the family with Anaya. 2 speeches to go for.
Yes, we
Yes,
do.
yes. So thank you for having us tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lorraine.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can. Well, Miss LeVon.
Yeah.
Christy, before you take off.
Let's get all the kids up here and have do
Picture.
a picture with all of us.
I think one's already gone, but
Somebody's over here.
one of them left.
No, he's in.
See, I'm
One of them left. We lost one.
gonna stand up now.
We lost one. Scratch it like sardines.
You don't get a drop.
Make sure you're in a window.
Can they see?
Everybody in a window? Come on.
Thank you.
All right. Now we're gonna go to, our consent agenda items. The 4.1 is minutes, 4.2 is field trips, 4.3 is fundraisers, 4.4 is annual SBA dues for 25-26, 4.5 reinstatement of the FSBA Master Board, and 4.6 is the Safe Schools Compliance Inspection, and 4.7 is
Joint use agreement.
the joint use agreement with Boys to Kings. Okay, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to accept the consent agenda items.
Second.
Have a motion by Ms. Knight and a second by Ms. Hagan to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion on the consent agenda? If not, all in favor of 5-0. Okay. Items for individual consideration. 5.1, heritage recommendations.
Good evening. I'm here to represent the Heritage Committee, and I appreciate you listening to our recommendation. We had several meetings, and the recommendation that we have come up with, our committee, to the board, to you guys, the community members will bring items to the treasurers of Madison County on specified dates. These dates will be advertised in the local paper and on the district website. Specific items will be listed along with photographs of current displays, so the community will understand what will be accepted. Okay? Lee, Pinetta, and Greenville schools will gather materials for a display at Central. This display, each school will have one shelf on the display in the display cabinets in the front office at Central. So that is our recommendation to you.
Thank you.
Any questions, comments?
I think that's a wonderful idea.
No, and we appreciate your
Now, when you
committee.
say items, what are you talking about?
Talking about anything from trophies, we're talking about paraphernalia like if they have letters, Greenville school.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have some from back there,
I do.
Frankie. I thought, I wanted to share, to put up, but that would go to the Treasures of Madison.
Okay.
Yearbooks, picture books, anything that would keep the memory of those schools
And
alive.
the amount has to be, just that one shift.
That's at the school.
That's at the school.
At the school.
That's at the school.
Uh-huh.
Now, the Treasures of Madison, they do like probably a
I
rotating.
understand that.
Yeah.
I was just talking about at the central school.
Yes, ma'am. It'll
The
just,
items can't overcrowd, or you can't
Right.
take a sapping shelf.
right, no ma'am,
Okay.
no ma'am, no
And
ma'am.
that's gonna be developed by the school, the current school now, so they can take their stuff that represents them and put it in there.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
They didn't have to go through that.
There's no problem with approving it if y'all want to do that, but I don't know that you have to.
That's their recommendation to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good to us. Okay, 5.2, personnel changes, Dr. Pickles.
Before you this evening, there are several positions. There's a request to fill one position at Central, if I can get mine to open. We were wanting to move the an individual from, she is recently completed as of tomorrow. She will be graduating, so she will be graduating with her elementary ed. But she has completed all of her certifications, but we do want to go ahead and put her into the recent vacancy created in the K-1 class. But we made that effective March 20th, so we're asking for your approval on that. There's also the after-school professional learning, and then some other tutors that we've also spoken about. And then so on let me go to since I went out of order on the list that I clicked on. So we'll go to the personnel changes. There's Miss Postel at Greenville as a part-time teacher. And then there is a non-instructional reassignment here within the district. And then there's 2 resignations. And then there's supplement changes. So you'll notice all of those. So I do ask for your approval. And under let me go back to it. I clicked on the wrong one. Under the other personnel, there is a change in some tutor hours, and that's the one I emailed you all about, from the 2 to the 4 hours. So that's on here. And then there's extra planning hours, and then there's one with the transportation department. The individual works when there's not enough drivers, and so there's overtime there, so we need to approve his overtime. Right now, according to Mr. Ansley, the overtime is not needed. All the drivers are showing up, but we do owe him this overtime, and to get him approved in case there's any more forthcoming. So I do ask for your approval on all these.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the personnel changes?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the personnel changes.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Hagan and a second by Ms. Gibson to approve the personnel changes. Is there any discussion on this? If no discussion, all in favor of the approval of the personnel changes? 5-0. Okay, volunteers, Dr. Pickles?
We have 2 volunteers before you this evening, and I do ask for your approval of the volunteers.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the volunteers?
I move to approve the volunteers.
Second.
Have a motion by Ms. Thompson and a second by Ms. Hagan to approve the volunteers. Any discussion on the volunteers? If not, All approve? 5-0. Staff travel, Dr. Pickles?
There is one trip this evening presented before you, and you see this, the funding source is from Title IV. It's for 3 individuals to go. Registration is free, so there's technically no cost other than their driving. So it's professional development. It'll be good for them, so I do ask for your approval.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the staff travel?
I move to approve the staff travel.
Second.
Have a motion by Ms. Thompson, a second by Ms. Gibson to approve the staff travel. All right, is there any discussion on the staff travel? All in favor of? 5-0. 5.5, 2025-26 staffing table.
I've met with each of you. I've also met with the union. We went over a spreadsheet view. In the spreadsheet view, I proposed a low and a high. This staffing table more covers the high. So as we go through it, I have the district level. I broke it down a little different from what you have used in the past. I tried to break it up by the board, fiscal services, the plant, grant-funded food service, and then I went to our school level, now that we're getting away from the various schools. So I've also put the funding sources and then our allocation. The items with asterisks, I have been in talks with neighboring districts and have confirmation that there is another district that does want to do shared services with us. I've spoken to the attorney and we have discussed how that would work, and it would be an interlocal agreement. So that's also the reason for some of the job description title changes. I didn't have all the job descriptions to be able to update them, so there are a couple more. They are definitely interested in several of our positions. So it's a win-win for both of us. They're lacking in some of the positions. So, for instance, we were talking about one was transportation, so they're needing that. Their individual has some issues, concerns, and they're not sure how much longer the individual will be with them. So, looking at succession planning, things like that. Another area, some other areas and stuff. So there's like 4 positions that we are very much able to try to partner with. And so it's good because we can offer a higher salary, but it not cost the district, either one district, as much money. So it will be a cost savings. And I have heard from this board that they're very much concerned about the money. So that will be very helpful. So I'm pleased about that. So I did speak to Mr. Tommy earlier and about how that interlocal agreement will work. So we will move forward with that. We'll have to do at least another job description. So the employee would be employed with one district, and then the other district will pay the district that's employing the individual. So as you go through, you'll see this. I know there are concerns. If you have concerns on the combo school side, based it just like it was before, did adjust the number a little bit because looking at 1,200 going up, it could go higher. Actually received a call from DOE today because they had forecast our FTE to be higher. And I was like, oh, I don't see our numbers increasing by around 100. I said, no. I said, we had even forecast a flat line, but the forecast numbers are increasing us. So we discussed that and went through and tried to adjust our numbers. So you'll see we have the one set of numbers, and then if the numbers increase, we add. So I can adjust any of those numbers as far as the enrollment. And then we do have the allocation where the monies will come from. Some will be a categorical, which is general funds, but it's a categorical where that money can only be spent on that. Some are grant funds. We're working on trying to amend some of our grants now for our roll forward monies. I was asked by one board member, because I did specifically address the number of teachers, but they did not see that in here, so I pointed out on page 6. So as far as the instructional, and I know it's been questioned that our central school will be crowded classrooms, that we were going to have 30 in a classroom. We have to follow class size. So every 18 students will have that, one teacher. So that's where that comes into play. So we'll follow that class size as far as the 1 to 18 ratio, 1 to 22, and 1 to 25. I know there were some questions about paras when I was speaking to Ms. Brown. So we went over the paras, and then I also showed her the non-ESE allocation for classroom support, that if she feels she needs more, she just has to document it, write it up, and we'll try to find it and put it in a grant. So the last 2 pages are cafeteria and our custodial needs, and that's based all on the square footage and the number of meals served. So any questions on what we went over? This was taken straight from the spreadsheet that I went over with you. Now, just because we approved this does not mean we fill everything. I know that I put in a math coach, I put in a science coach. Moving forward right now, we should have a math coach allocation. So that allocation, just like our reading coach, we should receive that next year. And so the science coach we would take either from the Title I or the Educational Enrichment grant, allocation. So any questions?
Let's do a little clarification. For instance, you use the word partnering. Is that the same as outsourcing to you?
No, it's shared services.
Okay, have we outsourced anyone to take over some positions in Madison County right now?
I believe years ago, I think
No,
something was outsourced.
I
Not
know
right
years
now.
ago, I'm talking about right now.
No,
In other
right
words,
now,
you're
not that I'm
going and we're
aware
going to
of.
outsource you. So I'm just clarifying that, is it? So in other words, this partnering, to me, it wouldn't be the same. I know that, but I was making sure that, just clarifying.
No, I'm
So
not
in other words, we haven't
outsourcing.
outsourced anyone lately to take a position. Okay, thank you. I was just wanting to make sure of that.
I do have a question, and maybe I'm missing it on here. The ag teacher, is that lumped into?
That would just be instructional.
Okay. And
It
that
was not listed on the previous, so, and
Okay.
broken out, so I did not list it.
Okay, that was my question, because I know that was a specific thing when we met. I just want to make sure that we're.
It's on my spreadsheet for
Yes.
both schools. It was not listed on the previous version of this type document.
Okay. that's
So I
just-
did not list it on that. If you would like me to list that, I will be happy
I
to.
just want to make sure we have enough to cover.
It is on my
that You're
spreadsheet.
going to have an ag teacher.
It is on my spreadsheet.
Okay.
I'm not, is this the point in the meeting whether we want to discuss our issues with this, Mr. Chair, or we just ask questions of Ms.?
Well,
Normally, we have the,
We hadn't got a motion yet.
no, we haven't got the motion,
Right,
so,
we
okay.
can
I do
move.
have concerns.
Okay.
I just want to make sure I don't miss my opportunity.
So I have a question before we go to concerns. The 11-month APs, I mean, with the planning that's going to be necessary,
I would recommend, so definitely depending on our enrollment, and we do actually have several schools that are planning their PTOs right now to try to get, actually talked to Mr. Tyrone, trying to work on transportation, because I think we had like less than 30 responses as far as who's going to need transportation and riding our buses. So we're starting to go to the outlying schools coming up, and let Ms. Brown know too, as far to go ahead and just go ahead and out to the schools and talk about registration and what we're having. But my recommendation would be to the APs request the extra hours for planning during the summer, so the extra 4 weeks to cover the entire summer to plan.
Okay, let's go ahead and let's see if we can get a motion to approve the staffing table. Do I have a motion to approve the staffing table?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the staffing table.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second.
Have a motion by Ms. Hagan and a second by Ms. Knight to approve the staffing table. Now, is there any discussion on the staffing table?
Okay. I'm going to start out by saying, yes, I did meet with with Dr. Pickles last Monday for a brief meeting. It did not go over all of this. We only met for like 35 minutes. So in other words, she gave me an overview. Okay. I looked for this every day last week. I called Miss Richardson. Do you have a hard copy for me? No. It's 7 o'clock after I went out to dinner Saturday night. Checked the agenda. No information. Sunday before and after church. No information. So I heard that, and I talked to Dr. Pickle. Her and I have discussed this. It was put on. Now, I don't know about the legalities. All I know is being respectful. We have a tremendous amount of people following this. We have a much people with an interest in it. Schools closing up. They want to know what's going on and where's the money going to. Okay, and I look at this. I also look at what happened this year, staffing allocation, 24-25. And I can start, I don't even want to go, with the time that I had, and I'd find a whole lot more, some of the things I find, I say, how is this saving money? Which is what we need to do. Dr. Pickles mentioned we're down $1 million a couple weeks ago. Okay, is this equivalent to $1 million right here? No. When you've got a principal at Central, you've got 4 assistants and 2 deans, that is appalling. What's going on? Why? What is the problem? Try to find another school with that number of people. I mean, they're all good people, but we're trying to save money here. And then we move people from coordinator to director and supervisor to coordinator. That takes money to do that. And I'm wondering, where is the money going to come from? There's no dollars and cents attached to this at all. I don't know, is it a savings? Are we spending more money? It looks to me like we're spending quite a bit of money here. I don't know what the answer is. But I have taken a look at it. I had other things going on today. But I said I can't go to the meeting knowing that it might be on the agenda, which it is. I thought maybe more time would give us more time to look at it and figure it out. But no, I'm not. I need more information, unless Dr. Pickles can give it to us. Can you tell me how much we're saving here?
Are you finished?
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
Okay, first of all, there is no dollars attached to this particular plan. There never has been. Even when I was superintendent before, there was never dollars attached to this.
Okay, well, I realize there won't be a bottom line that says you save this much money. But in the back of our minds, that's what we need to do.
And
this is why we closed 3 schools. We don't have any money.
And in the spreadsheet I showed you a high and a low number.
Yeah.
And there was a cost, there was a spread.
Right.
And I told you I was happy if we got to in the middle of that spread. And that's what I was aiming for.
I still feel like the board is in the dark. And we've got to make a decision about this and many other things, of course. But I don't feel like we've been given as much information as we need to get.
Okay.
And I think what bothered me was the fact that the public, they have no idea what's going on here. I mean, this thing just, in other words, and as I was during my training, do not accept anything on the agenda after the Monday before the meeting. Now, I'm not sure if that's a legal thing or it's a common courtesy thing. Let's put it that way. So, but here we are. I mean, at the 11th hour, getting the information, and I can only do so much. I mean, I do not want to go to a board meeting unprepared, ever. I think that's all I have to say for now. It's-
Thompson.
Ms. Gibson, I agree with you as far as the documentation being posted. But Dr. Pickles knows, I said to her, I would have liked for this to be available sooner. However, I will say that when I met with Dr. Pickles, we went line by line and she explained the cost savings and she showed me each analysis, high, low, and I was given the opportunity to ask for clarification or ask questions. So from my perspective as a board member, I do feel like I have the information, and Dr. Pickles was very happy to explain any questions that I had as far as the dollars and cents goes. So I'm not trying to be dismissive of your feelings, but I feel like I have adequate information as far as the budget is concerned. And I will not disagree with you though. I spoke to Dr. Pickles this morning. She knows that I would have preferred this to be public before last night. But I don't want the public to think that we did not have the information or the opportunity as far as asking questions about cost savings. Because I know when I met with Dr. Pickles, I met with her on Monday, which was a week ago. And I've had all week from last Monday to today to call her at any point and ask her for clarification on any of these positions, or the cost savings go. So I just would that's what I have to say about it.
Okay, were you finished?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yes. Oh, okay.
Did you raise your hand?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
All right, yes, we can, but the way we left it, it was going to be put on the agenda. I was going to get a hard copy. I was going to get in other words, I was expecting that all week. So, and not only that, we didn't compare this present year to this new one here. There was no, during our little meeting here. No, we didn't say, well, now we've got this, now we're going to have that. So there was questions.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but that was for you to ask those questions. If you had questions, you could have asked those
Well, I
questions.
did ask questions during our meeting, but I still had to have the hard copy to take a look at.
Right. And I don't disagree with
I mean,
I don't disagree with that.
to look at a computer for 30 minutes and walk away without, waiting, I expected to have, when I do my research, I've got to have it on the computer or I have to have a hard copy,
Well,
So-
and I will say, it has been, since I have joined the board, it has not been available to us prior to any board meeting. It has been common practice for the staffing table to not even be online previously until we come to this dais. So I didn't have any expectation for it to be available. I just, asked my questions in the meeting, so. That is something that I think that we as a board should decide, this is what our preference is, so that we can set that precedent for the superintendent moving forward.
It's been on the agenda though.
It has been on the agenda,
Yeah.
but I can tell you previously, it has never been available to us to view online
Wait.
until we came to this dais.
I was going to say, I have seen this document in past years, but I've never seen dollars and cents attached to this.
Well, no, I said we did, you're right, but in our mind, because this is our main job up here.
Correct.
It
Our
is.
main job is to have enough money to run the district successfully.
Yes, ma'am.
That is the main job here.
Yes.
So when I talk about money, that's what
Yes, ma'am.
that's what I was elected to do.
Right.
Yes,
No,
ma'am.
and I don't
No,
disagree with you.
And we
Yeah.
agree with you is, I think, I think we just need to set a precedent of what our expectations are as a board moving forward so that there's accountability, at the next occurrence.
Agree.
So,
Anybody else? Well, I called Dr. Pickles about it because, I'm a visual person. And so when I met with her, then I got the vision of the savings on the high end, on the savings, because both ends saved us a lot of money. So I got the vision of that. I also called, because I'm the chairman, I called the Florida School Board Association and I asked them, and there is no set law or anything that has to be, the staffing table was on the agenda, just the attachment wasn't there, so it don't have to be. And I'll be honest with you, just looking at the staffing table here, had I not went in there and her explained it to me, I wouldn't know what I was looking at anyway. It's just a bunch of numbers. So us explaining it here, her explaining it here, us talking about it here tonight for the people that's watching, I'm sure they get more out of it than they would have if they'd have opened it up and seen all the numbers. And so anyway, that's just me. But I think, you know, one thing I want to say, because you know it always comes up about we close the schools to save money. I voted to close the schools because of the more for our kids to have more opportunities. That's why I closed them. I didn't close them because of money. I didn't vote to close them because of money. I didn't close them anyway. I voted to, but I did it because of more opportunities. I mean, all of our kids all they was getting was reading, math, science, and history, which is an education, but it's not well-rounded, in my opinion. And I'm one of 5, and I got a right to my opinion, and that's mine. I didn't get to say that night either, but so if there any more discussion on this, any more?
No, I want to reiterate that, you know, we as a board, you know, if we're all in agreement in how we would like to receive this information, we need to workshop or whatever we need to do so that we can talk in public, so that we can set the precedent in how we would like this stuff to be handled moving forward. At the end of the day, I think that we can all agree that we don't like the way a lot of this was handled. And, you know, from the letters to, you know, when it was attached. But at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to make sure that, you know, we are holding Dr. Pickles accountable to what our expectations and our standards are. And so that is something that we probably need to put on our calendars to workshop. So that way, moving forward, you know, my goal up here, you know, when I got onto this board is to make sure that, you know, we were moving into the direction of being completely transparent and that we were working on being better communicators with our general public and with our parents and with our staff. And, you know, if we are not making progress into that direction and we are getting feedback that we are not progressing in that direction, then I think we as a board need to reevaluate our processes and what we're allowing and what we're holding accountable. So.
Were you finished?
Yes, ma'am.
On one other note, getting back to the people who are listening tonight and our employees, they know what a staffing table is. They are very well aware of it, so it's not a bunch of just, they understand it completely. I've heard from them. They're not in the dark. I just wanted to add that. They do know what's going on.
I heard from mine, they don't, I guess on that end of the county, we don't understand. But I heard from mine, they don't know what to look at.
Well, they may not understand the numbers, but they understand the positions. They're looking at the positions to see what's there and what's not there. Because, you know, one of the things that we have to remind ourselves is that we are looking at positions. You know, it is not our place to look at people as hard as it is for us. You know, it's very hard, you know, when we live in the community that we live in to not take into consideration that this position equals this person. You know, but we have to look at the positions. It is Dr. Pickles' job to look at the people. And so, you know, at the end of the day, we still need to make sure that our people are not feeling disrespected and unappreciated.
Okay. Any more? Anybody else? All right. All right. All approve of the 2025-26 staffing table. Okay. All opposed? All right. 4-0 with Ms. Gibson opposing.
4-1.
4-1, I'm sorry. 4-1. I told you I always different over here. Let's see here. Job description stuff there.
This evening before you, there are 4 job descriptions. A couple of these will be the shared between with the neighboring county. There will be a couple more coming before you. I just have to either gather it from the other county, or we have to create one. So I was not provided that job description when I requested all the job descriptions. So for now, I do want you to, or I ask for the approval, very minor changes. So a couple of them, they were coordinators and then having to go to directors. So because they will be covering 2 counties. And so I do ask for your approval on those.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the job descriptions?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the job descriptions.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, have a motion by Ms. Knight and a second by Ms. Hagan to approve the job descriptions. Is there any discussion on the job description?
Because these are the job descriptions that we have now. And as always, if we want to make minor adjustments,
Yes,
we can
ma'am.
always, go back.
Revisit
That's
again.
what those job descriptions.
Yes, ma'am.
That's right.
So we have to start at some point.
That's right. Absolutely.
Well, I'm not sure about a minor adjustment, but would a coordinator to director be a minor adjustment?
Well, they were some that were there. There's one of these that's actually a combined position. So the director of finance and HR. And it was interesting when I was looking at it. It actually, the finance position had some of the recruitment, some of the HR features in there. And so that one was interesting. I made a very minor adjustment under the Director of Student Services, Exceptional Education and Mental Health. I made a very minor and took out the yellow highlighting on that one. And then the Coordinator of Curriculum and CTE is a combined job description. So that one is a combined. So there were a couple of them I had to combine.
Any more discussion?
Thank you.
Any more discussion? Anybody else?
No, sir.
All right, I'll approve the job descriptions. Rachel? All approved. That was it. All opposed? All right. 4-1 with Ms. Gibson opposed. Okay. Let's see. All right. 6.1, Superintendent item.
Okay, you received on your table,
What about?
you directed me to come up with a proposal timeline for the selling of the property, so I reached out to CRA because I know that in discussions, they've worked with other districts in disposing their properties. And since we'd also just had DOE in working on our facilities, Mr. Greg Kelly has been in conversation with Ms. Brown. So he checked with a couple of the other districts, and this is what they had used before. So I spoke to the attorney and questioned him because I was a board member when we sold a piece of property. And I questioned him about the appraisal and going through the realtor, so number 2 and number 3. So I left this as presented. He said we did not have to get the appraisal, so that's up to the board if the board so chooses to go ahead and get the appraisal. So I need to know what the board would like to change on this, if they want to leave number 2 and number 3, if we just want to go with number 1 and number 4 to do the advertisement to receive. And then I had also given some statutes, and Mr. Reeves has already looked that up, and I believe he also has the Florida statutes pulled up regarding the disposal of properties.
Madam Superintendent, now, we were just presented this today.
Yes,
On the table
yes,
today.
this was one,
So
is there,
I haven't
what is
had
it you
time to
want?
filter through all of this.
The
So I'm not
question-
ready to decide right now.
No.
Because I haven't had time to filter through this. I don't know how the other board members feel, but it was put on the table today.
It was.
And so-
I just received it this morning.
And so I just would not like to make a decision on this right now until a little bit later.
That's fine. So my question was also, did you even want to use a realtor or as far as selling the property?
I'm thinking after we go over this and if we decide.
Okay, that's
When we
fine.
mull this in our minds and
That's fine.
think about it, then if we
Okay.
decide if we want this, that's what I'm thinking.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything to say about it? Or concerns?
Can I say one thing? When the decision y'all ultimately make on how you want to decide that, or how you want to go through the process, you are certainly free to have whatever appraisals you want done on the property. You're not required to have the appraisals done on the property. That's a little different with school boards. What you might want to consider, though, is when the public comes up and you've sold a piece of property for something, are you going to want that back up where you've got an appraisal there and you can, justify the price or whatever? I think the inclination would be, yeah, we'd want the backup to show we got a good price. I would question, though, an appraisal of a school in a small town in North Florida. Appraisals are usually done by comparables. I don't know that you're going to have a whole lot of comparables to the Greenville School or the
There is
Pinetta.
one.
Yeah. So at any rate, that's just something that you guys have to decide, but it's a policy decision that the board would make.
And where I saw on the bottom though, the board has the right to refuse any or all offers.
Absolutely.
So if, we have that appraiser and the public doesn't agree with it, it's here that we have the right to refuse.
That you 5 board members will decide that.
That's exactly.
So let me know any of your discussion on it, and then we can bring this back up.
Thank you.
I do have a meeting with DOE on Wednesday. I'm also received notification our ESSER monies that we submitted, or the previous administration submitted an extension for the chiller project. We're having to submit a request for the Florida Department of Education to submit on our behalf a request to the U.S. Department of Education to release the funds because they have stopped the funding on the ESSER, which is $1.6 million, even the encumbered funds. So that was my Thursday and Friday, working diligently to get and gather all the documentation necessary for that. Also working with the Synergy DR Group and FDM regarding the roof project at the Central School, because they were almost to the point of obligating the roof, and now they are coming back and almost about to the point of making the project ineligible. So, which is right at $3 million. So trying to gather all the invoices showing where we have been doing routine maintenance on it. We've gone back, the finance office has gone back and pulled all our invoices over the past years, and we've sent that, and really now trying to get it to where they are not de-obligating that project for us. So trying to stay in constant contact with them. So that's all I have for the moment, because that's all I've been fighting with right this moment. So we don't, all of a sudden, that we're not responsible for those 2 huge projects.
That'd be bad.
It'd be detrimental.
We had to get some fans out, put in there something.
I actually had somebody say something about the air at the high school today,
That'd be bad.
the air quality. So,
All right, Mr. Attorney.
No, sir, not unless you have questions of me.
Sure.
I'm sure.
All right, board members, Ms. Gibson.
Yes, I do have a question for the attorney. You don't have to answer it right now. Regarding seniority. You don't have to get into it right now. We can get into it at the next meeting. But just, I want to know what the repercussions are. I want to know who it involves. I want to know if a person that's been here a year or 2 has more seniority than someone that's been here for 30 years. In other words, I want to know, I need some education on that. Okay, thank you. I'd like to thank Mr. Ritchie for coming today, and I'd like to recognize Melinda Ritchie for all of her years of service, dedicated service, very good employee. I'd like to thank Lily Hanners for coming today. I've known Lily all of her life. She's a very good student and a very sweet girl. I'd like to thank the Bay Club and tell them how proud I am of everything that they're doing. I'm very impressed. And I'd also like to congratulate Ms. Bruton and Ms. Ray as being Sal and Val of Madison County High School. Thank you. Congratulations, girls.
I would like to congratulate the Rays. They have two Vals here, one from the Central School, graduating from the Central School, and one from the high school. And of course, I'm so impressed of how well spoken these children in the Beta Club are, and the tasks that they have performed, not having seen a whole lot of things. And I just would like to thank everybody who's involved with the school system, and however they're involved, volunteers, anybody. I just want to thank you. This is a difficult time for us because we're going into consolidation, and there are going to be some things that will be and some things that will be changed. And just thank everybody for their help and cooperation.
I have nothing.
I would like to say thank you to Lily Hanners for coming and saying our prayer today, also to our Beta Club. And I'm most proud, one of those Beta Club members is one of my own. So thank you to the staff and the sponsors for everything that you do for those kids. I actually was able to go attend that conference with them, and it was wonderful to see those kids in action amongst hundreds of children from all over the states. There were children there from North Carolina, South Carolina, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, and to see our kids get to compete and do so well was phenomenal to witness. So I would like to thank all of you that made that possible. I would like to thank and recognize Miss Paula Kaufman. She was on our list tonight for retirement and resignation. Miss Paula has poured her heart and soul into this district. I know that she has done a lot for my own husband as a mentor for him as he started working in the school system. I'd like to thank Miss McLeod. She was also on there. She's been a wonderful asset to this district. All of our other employees, I know it's a difficult time. There's a lot of things that aren't so great going on as far as, you know, people, things are difficult. I will just leave it to say that. But I know that the heart of this board as a whole, I can speak, I think, and say this, that we all want what's best for the district, for the children, for the staff, and I appreciate everything that each of you do. And so that's all I have tonight.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move to adjourn.
He has
I'm sorry. Frankie, I'm so sorry.
I just want to thank everybody for coming. I appreciate y'all. I do want to congratulate our weightlifting team. They went to regionals this past Saturday. We had 5 lifters, and 4 of them made it to state next Saturday in Lakeland. So I'm proud of those fellas. I was privileged to get to go with them, and listen, we got some great kids. How they conducted themselves there. We stopped at a Zaxby's, and there was 2 other buses there, and how our kids conducted themselves in there comparably to the mother jokers throwing chicken across the thing. It was amazing. So anyway, it was an honor to be around those kids. They was tremendous. What'd you say, adjourn?
No, my apologies. Mr. Chair, I move to adjourn.
This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Ms. Gator.